So, now, what we were saying before, I couldn't believe the degree of responsibility that the Torah is saying about us. Now I'm saying let's bring it back to Shmirat HaBrit. I gave the example of, let's say, my wife going through Instagram and saying, yeah, but I'm on a cooking thing. I'm looking to see cooking recipes. And then all of a sudden, the cook's husband came on. He happens to be like unbelievably ripped and without his shirt on, like to show how much this cooking is helping this person, right? I didn't mean to see that. I went for the cooking channel. Nachon, she's right. But she's responsible. Because if you know that when I go on something, I know that there's a possibility of something that I'm not intending will come up in that place, you're responsible. Now, let's say she says back to me, yeah, but David, we have to be normal. You're going to walk on the street. What, you're going to walk with your head down all the time? You're going to get hit by a car. True. But you have to walk on the street. Do you have to watch that cooking channel? So I'm just trying to, sparse out this whole responsibility idea, right? You do the best that you can, and then after the fact, Hashem is going to give you challenges that you're capable of dealing with. But if you add to the challenge by placing yourself in a position that is literally impossible to overcome, you shouldn't be surprised when you don't overcome it. So all I'm saying is, give yourself a chance. It's the summer now, it's really hot, people's tempers are flaring, we're in Eretz Yisrael where that's normal anyway, so now you just increase it to a whole nother level, right? Give yourself a chance. And then, if you're struggling, so then you knew, well, I did the best that I could. But doing the best you could is not only after the fact. Like with medicine, there's preventative medicine, and there's also, we're responding to an illness. The Torah says you have to be proactive with your Yetzer Hara. You have to preempt your Yetzer Hara. This is the secret to everything. What does that mean? It means very simply, I need to put myself in positive situations, and then whatever happens after that, it's from Hashem, and I do the best that I can. Tov? Good. So now Rabbi Nachman says like this. Oh, wait, this is the last part. My rabbi, Rav Aaron Walken, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, he said that all the tests in the Torah, he said like even Avram Avinu, where his whole life is bound up in love, he wants to show love. That's his whole thing. He's a man of kindness. And Hashem tells him, go sacrifice your son. Can you think of a harder test than that? Even if he wasn't as compassionate and kind as he was, and he was just like semi-normal, not a psychopath. That's got to be the hardest test, no? But we don't call him Avram Tzaddik. We call Yosef Tzaddik. My rabbi said like this. When Hashem told Avraham, go do this, but he heard from Hashem. He heard Hashem tell him, go do this. So yeah, obviously it's unbelievably hard. We'd never want to be in that situation. Like we can't imagine ourselves actually passing. But if God tells you go do this thing, that's a whole different situation than Hashem never told you nothing. And you have this thing which is 70 times harder to overcome than any of these one specific things. And he said, and this person was really mamash tzaddik when he was alive. I never met anybody like this person. He said like openly and honestly to everybody there, the one thing I can't wrap my head around is be'emet, how Yosef did not sleep with her. He's like, I just don't know how he didn't do it. That's why Yosef's tzaddik. Okay? When you read it like a story, it's like, okay, great, yeah, he overcame. But like if you think about it practically, based on our life and our circumstances, it's really hard to fathom, right? So now, Rabbi Nachman says like this. If you can be able to overcome, or at least to work really, really hard on Tikkun HaBrit, which means giving yourself a chance, right? And also knowing that this is, if I can overcome this thing, if I can do real work in this area, all the other negative midot that I have to deal with, they all decrease in intensity, right? So I have a tremendous motivation because in reality, it's not that things are too hard. It's that we do not represent, we don't understand the opportunity that we have. So if you look at it like anything else, so it's like, okay, yeah, well. But if you see like this is everything is bound up in this thing, and I'm holding on to this thing, and if I can overcome this thing, I get everything, right? I can actually literally experience God, right? It said about Avraham Avinu that before he had his Brit Milah, he spoke to Hashem from time to time. As soon as he had his Brit Milah, for the rest of his life, he was in constant dialogue with God. The Or Chaim says, why? The Brit. The whole point of the Brit is Hashem wants to be able to be in communion with you constantly, right? But it's a huge test. So now Rabbi Nachman says, you are accosted by these negative thoughts. What do? Rabbi Nachman says, close your eyes and say Shema, right? The Gemara says, if the Yetzer Hara overcomes you, what should you do? It says, close your eyes and say Shema. Tov. Why? Because we learned, and I won't go through it again, okay? Now, what do? We said that only works when you have thoughts irregularly, meaning if you live in the 1800s. But if you are in our generation, and maybe even during the course of this class, you haven't stopped thinking about stuff. What's my tikkun then? So Rabbi Nachman says, still, close your eyes and say Shema when the thought comes up, or when you feel like powerless and I can't do anything, right? But in this case, you need to accompany the closing your eyes and saying Shema with crying as well. And we explained why. Because what's causing you to want to engage in this is the fact that your blood, Rabbi Nachman says, still has not been purified yet. And what happens because of that? That then infiltrates every part of you, which is why it feels so intense. What is supposed to clean out a person's blood? Their lymphatic system. And in what organ? Your spleen. So Rabbi Nachman brings the Tikkuni Zohar, which says that your spleen is the place where sadness comes from, or hopelessness, right? Where do your tears come from? Your tears actually come from there, your lymphatic system. So Rabbi Nachman says something unbelievable. When you cry, you are literally taking out the excess from your spleen.
Is that called the marshmallow?
Yes. So every time that you cry, even let's say you cry in Hibodedut, let's say that you cry when you're learning, let's say that you cry when you're alone, as long as I'm crying for holy reasons, those tears are cleaning out all of that excess. That's why Rabbi Nachman says, no matter how many days, weeks, months, years you have been working on this, and still feel like you have seen no progress, but you don't know the next tears that will clean out the system entirely. Okay? So now Rabbi Nachman says,
it takes work to cry.
Yes, it takes a lot of work to cry. But maybe you're not allowing yourself to feel what you know that you feel, which is helpless. We have so conditioned ourselves to want to always feel in control. Rabbi Nachman is saying that's why you're not happy. You're not happy because you're holding on to malchut, kingship, control. But guess what? The Torah says, Hashem hu hamelech, Hashem's the king. It's not supposed to be like a dictatorship where it's like, okay, Hashem is my God, now I do that's not the point. The point that Hashem's telling you, I got this, I got you. I'm running your life. You don't have to. You just go try to do the best that you can and be a good person and be kind and say nice things. Try to learn, try to pray, try to connect yourself to the right people. I am controlling your life. But we're so conditioned to hold on. Rabbi Nachman says, just go outside and mamash cry to God. Cry. It's the best feeling in the world. And guess what? Hashem says, I have you. I'm going to take care of you. So now Rabbi Nachman says like this. When you break through this area of the Brit, and then you get a revelation of Torah, meaning you get a revelation of your own soul. Or you're learning Torah and it hits you in a whole new way. Maybe you're learning it on your own, maybe you're learning it from a teacher, maybe you're learning it with a friend, and all of a sudden, even though you saw that many times before, it hits you in a different way this time, where you're like, oh my gosh, that's what he means. Or that's the way it could change my life. So Rabbi Nachman says like this, that comes from your Shmirat HaBrit. Your ability to try your very best to be responsible, to give yourself a chance, and to try and master in this area. To that degree, you are able to reveal Torah, which is why we said that when the Jewish people received the Torah, 3 days before that, Moshe Rabbeinu put them all in a mikveh and had them separate from their wives. Why did they have to do that before they received the Torah? So the Gemara says, so that they should be pure when they receive it. Rabbi Nachman saying, no, it's because that experience actually is what helped them to receive the Torah. Meaning, the Torah was always there. Hashem's always on Har Sinai. Hashem always wants to say, hey, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I'm Hashem your God, I got you. And yet we don't hear it because we didn't get to spend 3 days apart from our wife. Which in this case, Rabbi Nachman says, who's your wife when you're not married? And who's your wife when you are married? Who's not your wife? Her name is Lily. She is the female version of the Sitra Achra, and she is the one who is trying to get you to waste seed, whether that's when you're awake, or like we said before, even when you're sleeping. So the secret of this Gemara is that you need to separate from her before you can receive the Torah at Har Sinai. And Rabbi Nachman saying the secret to doing that is closing your eyes, which is a mechanism for what the Baal Shem Tov calls bitul, to nullify your external self, to tap into your inner consciousness, your God consciousness, right? And you say Shema to affirm your Emunah, because your Emunah is the opposite of that woman, right? This woman, she represents the female of the other side. What's the female of Kedusha? What's the Eshet Chayil? Her name is Emunah. So when I close my eyes and say Shema, I am actively disconnecting myself from the negative female persona, and I am actively connecting myself to the female dimension of my soul, which is Sarah Imenu, my wife, not my mistress, right? And she protects me. She's called Emunah. So now Rabbi Nachman says like this, when you have the ability to reveal Torah, Azai Naseh Ma'ahit Galut Nishamot Chadashot, then is created from that revelation new souls. So this is an incredible thing. When you have revelations of Torah, you're not just understanding something Torah you didn't understand before. Every time you have a new Gilui, a new revelation of God in your life, there are new souls that are created in the world. Either there are new souls that are literally coming down and becoming human beings, or in your actual self, you now have a new soul. Or you have a renewal of the soul that you already have. But either way, there is a new consciousness that is being born within you. Kamosh Katuv, like it says, L'me'abad nishmatin v'ruchin chadatin b'tartain uvitlatin azame b'shvachin. The Arizal HaKadosh, the great Mekubal of Tzfat, who we are really indebted with to have the Baal Shem Tov's Chassidus, to have Rabbi Nachman's genius encompassment of everything, all in schut of the Arizal. He made a song on Friday night that we should sing. And in fact, the one song that we have of Rabbi Nachman that we know that he actually was the composer of that tune is the version in Breslov of this song, Azam B'Shvachin. Okay? You guys can check it out after the 3 weeks. So, but why is this song so special? Because it's based on very deep Kabbalah. A lot of Sha'ar Kavanot, right? The Arizal has many different gates where he discusses the deepest Kabbalistic secrets of those different things. And one of them is called Sha'ar Kavanot, where he's telling you all the deepest mystical implications of prayer intentions. When you say certain words or you do certain mitzvot, what are the kavanot? What are the intentions you have when you do it, right? So in this case, it's at the Shulchan on Shabbos. That's all encompassed within this song. So when you're singing that song, the kavanot are in there. addition, the Sefer Yetzirah, where this lashon comes from, the very first Kabbalistic treatise that we have, the tradition goes back to Avram Avinu. It comes from there. Now, what is it saying? When souls and spirits are made, chadatin, new souls and new spirits. Oh, interesting. Betartin uvitlatin. 32. With 32. What is it talking about? So in the very beginning of Sefer Yetzirah, it says that Hashem created the physical and spiritual universes with 32 pathways. That's the very beginning of Sefer Yetzirah. Now, if you look at the Torah itself, we know that Chazal teach in the Midrashim, in the Gemara, Hashem used the Torah to create the world. What does the Torah begin with? Which letter? Bet. And what does it end with?
Amen.
Put it together. What's the gematria? 32. Why? Because these 32 gateways of chokhmah, of wisdom, they are encompassed in the Torah. He used those 32 paths to create the world. Now, when you look at the commentaries, the Perushim, on those 32 gates of chokhmah, what is it talking about? What are these 32 pathways? So, pretty much all of them say the same thing. It's speaking about the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet and the 10 sfirot. So you have these 10 mechanisms of creation called the 10 sfirot, and you have these 22 letters. Put them together, you have 32. Those are the 32 pathways of wisdom through which Hashem recreates the world at every moment and how He originally created the world. Okay? Interestingly as well, it's the same gematria as the word leiv, your heart. 32. So it's very deep chokhmah in your heart. It's very deep wisdom in your heart. So those are the 32. And in that place you have these new souls. Hiya Torah. What is this 32 pathways? This is a Torah. Sheyesh ba shloshim ushnaim nativot hachokhmah. That it has within it 32 pathways of wisdom. And by the way, just in terms of when you hear these words, 32 pathways of chokhmah, or you have 50 gates of understanding. So in Kabbalah, the 32 pathways of wisdom, they are referring to the sphere of chokhmah, or the partsuf of Abba. The 50 gates of understanding, they are referring to the sphere of Bina, or the partsuf of Ima. And then there's actually a certain amount for Da'at as well, that's for another thing. Okay? So in this case, we're talking about these, a very, very high level, these 32 pathways of Chokhmah. By the way, how many teeth do you guys have? 32?
6 or 7.
32. You have a few extra ones because, you have the whole pirate thing going on. But in general, people have 32 teeth. Why do you have 32 teeth? Because Hashem literally made within your own mouth a reflection of the 32 pathways of Chokhmah in your teeth. That's
Is that what they do with it?
what color are your teeth? Well, not your teeth, but what color are people's teeth in general?
White.
White. Why are they white? Because in Kabbalah, Chokhmah is white. Because Chokhmah is related to brain matter, which is white. And when we see pictures of the brain, it's like pink, but it's really white. Brain matter is white. Okay? Chokhmah is white. Your teeth are white. In Kabbalah as well, you have the 4 letters of Hashem's name. Right? Yud Kei Vav Kei. These are corresponding as well to the 4 main parts of your body. So what are the 4 main parts of your body? You have your bones. You have your gidin. You have your sinews. What else you got? Blood. What else you got? Muscle. Okay. So in fact, actually, this is very deep. You ready? The Hey in Hashem's name corresponds to the skin, your most artificial, superficial level of skin.
The second hand.
The final Hey. The Vav corresponds to the muscle tissue underneath that skin. The Hey corresponds to your veins or your sinews or your ligaments. And the Yud corresponds to your bones. Why does the Yud correspond to your bones? Because your bones are the most inner part of your body, and they're also white. Okay?
Saying that color over again doesn't really work in 2024.
That your bones are white?
Yeah.
They're not white?
I know, but the white is a bad word in 2024, I think.
Yeah, maybe for you because you're a racist, but like in general, I think everyone understands that we're just talking about, the cosmos and all this spherotic array, and it's not like, we're not getting into politics in this group. We're Breslovers, right? We just go into the field and we cry to God. We don't vote. Okay, so listen to what we're saying. Like this. Anyway, why am I telling you all those things? Because Chokhmah is white. The point is that Chokhmah is white. White also kind of like represents this like unlimited light that's not differentiated, right? When we think about Malchut, Rabbi Nachman says that Malchut's black, right? In the 30th Torah in Likutey Moharan, Rabbi Nachman is explaining the fact, you like this, right? By the way, this is the only time he's ever stayed up for a class is when we start talking about white and black. Oh my gosh, you need serious help, Noam. Usually it's, oh, you need a ride? Yeah, I got you. And in this class, Noam's like, white? Black? Okay, so like this. When you look at your eye, let's go with your eye. By the way, your eye is also corresponding to the 4 letters of Hashem's name. Every part of you is, every part of your soul is as well, okay? You have a part of your eye which is black. Which part is that? The pupil. This represents the Malchut. She is called the what? Bat Ayin. Why is she called Bat Ayin? Because she's the daughter, literally, because in Kabbalah, Malchut is the daughter. So she is the daughter of your eye.
She just receives,
that
black hole just receives.
Just receives, right? That's the whole idea of Malchut. Then you have the Vav, which is corresponding to
Iris?
your actual color of your eye. Yours is blue. I don't know what it's called.
It's called the iris, I think it's called the iris.
All right, so don't show off. We talked about this already in the book. Okay. Okay. You have the color of your eye. And then you have a layer around it, which is like, you have like the red veins in your eyes. And then finally you have the white around your eye. That's the Yud. Yud, Hey, Vav, and a Hey. So, a little trippy. You guys are never going to look in the mirror the same way again. You're like, Yud, K, Vav, K. It's in my eyes. Okay? Tov, so everything is like that. Why am I giving you all these examples? Because whenever we speak about Chokhmah, you're going to like this, we're talking about white. Okay? And whenever we're speaking about Malchut or King David, we're speaking about I'm black and I'm beautiful. And no, this is not just a Black Lives Matter thing. Shlomo Melech said
There's
it.
something like Shachorani,
I just said I'm black and I'm beautiful. I'm black and I'm beautiful. Yeah. It's a pasuk. It's like a real thing. It's old news. It's old news. Okay. I'm black and I'm beautiful. Nachon, who is that talking about? It's speaking about the Malchut. It's speaking about King David. It's speaking about Mashiach. I'm black but I'm beautiful. Okay. Tov. Now we know what he's going to look like. Very good. So like this. But we're talking right now in this lesson about the 32 pathways of Chokhmah, which means we're speaking about white. And what you're going to see in a second, we're going to be speaking about undifferentiated light. I'm telling you all these things not just to have your mind buzzing. I want that with every one of these lessons, Rabbi Nachman is constantly speaking about Kabbalah. And therefore, the more that you know about these areas specifically, you can start to branch out in your mind what they mean for you in your life, as well as how they play into the Torah. You're going to see in this very next section, we're going to be speaking specifically about the fact that Hashem's light comes down in an undifferentiated way, and the way that it's received is not dependent on the giver, but the receiver. So this undifferentiated light is corresponding as well to what we're saying, that Chokhmah is white. It's like an undifferentiated light. So too, kind of in the same way, when you give seed over, your seed is white. Why is your seed white? Because your seed represents unlimited potential, but it's nothing in reality. That's Chokhmah. If you take the word Chokhmah, it's 2 words, Koach Ma. Koach means what? Strength, but Koach in
potential
means potential. Ma means
What?
What? Its potential. What? Right? You know that one kid in the class who was like, what? You know, like in every question, you know what I'm talking about? And you thought that kid was the biggest dummy, and really he was holding on to the highest level of understanding. He had the highest level of potential, and he expressed it by just saying, what? Yeah. So that's kochma. That's chokhmah. That's what? That is your seed, right? It's the potential. It could be anything. Tov. This is the Yud of Hashem's name. So now he says like this.
And just to contrast that, you mentioned the body of the spleen, which is black.
Yes.
So that's like the deepest part of the malchus that we're trying to purify.
It's corresponding to the version of the Sitra Achra of it. So when you have the Malchut of Kedusha, that's not the spleen. But the Malchut of the other side is corresponding to the spleen. The spleen is literally called the lily in Kabbalah. Okay? Okay. So when somebody asks you what's bothering you, say spleen. Yeah, okay. So like this. So we have Uvit Lata Shiv Shin. We have 32, meaning Oraita Tili Ta'i. In Masechet Shabbat Peichet, it says that the Torah is all about 3. Why is the Torah all about 3? Because the Torah was given in which month of the year? Which is the third month of the year. And on what day?
Tuesday, Thursday, third.
Take it easy. Don't take all the credit. We don't just be that one student who was like, yeah, okay. So we have 3, and how many books are there? Not books. How many?
3.
All right, take it easy. How many sections are there in the Torah? 5. That's the Chumash. But the whole Torah. Tanakh is Torah. What else we got? Nevi'im, Ketuvim, 3. It's kind of 3. The Jewish people are cut off into 3. We have the Kohanim, the Leviim, and Yisrael. And the Gemara then finishes by saying, and it was given over by the 3rd. Who's the 3rd? Moshe. You have Miriam, Aaron. Moshe was the 3rd child. All having to do with this 3. Now, what is that? So, in the Zohar, it says that when Techiyat HaMeitim happens, who's going to be the first to get up? Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu is going to be the first to get up, and he's going to get up, and Rabbi Nachman speaks about this in one of the lessons of Moharan, with all the Avot. Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. What does that mean on a more spiritual level? So when you have Avraham, he represents the sphere of Chesed. You have Yitzchak, he is the sphere of Gevurah, and you have Tiferet, is the sphere of Tiferet. When those 3 come together, they all find themselves projected to this figure called Moshe. Meaning that when Mashiach comes, his power comes from the fact that he's holding on to the kochot, the powers of those 3 forefathers. Okay, that's what it means. He's getting up at the time of Techiyat HaMeitim to bring the Geula, to bring the redemption. So to here, the Torah was given in 3. So it's trying to allude to the fact that all the power that we have is coming from 3. That's why the Jewish people are connected to 3. That's why the amount of books in the Torah is connected to 3. That's why it was given in the 3rd month. It's all about Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, okay? So it's through this threefold path. And now it says like this. Nimsa, consequently, tzaddik megale it's a davar Torah. Whenever the tzaddik reveals some matter in Torah, azai morid nishmatin chadatim lechol echad me'ashomi matorah lefi bechinato tefisato. Amazing thing. Whenever the tzaddik teaches you Torah, so right now you're learning Torah from the tzaddik called Rabbi Nachman and Breslov. So you think you're just learning something, but there's actually something very deep taking place. You are getting impregnated. Sounds fun? It's a little weird, right? What are you getting impregnated with? Revelations of God. But we just said that revelations of God for a man is called children, souls. So when you think to yourself, oh, I just had a new chap, or I just had a new chiddush, or I just had a new conception of this thing. No, you actually just had a new soul. And the tzaddik is literally implanting new souls in all of us. It's an amazing thing.
Does it have to sit inside for 9 months, or?
Depends how fast you cry it out.
No, I'm saying when you're learning something, so if you understand it.
It doesn't have to literally be 9 months, but you have to go through that same period. So like yeah. So like just as a very basic thing, when you first learn something, like right now, you're probably like, I don't understand anything David says since the beginning of this class, okay? That's called conception. Why? Because it's in you, and yet you have no idea what to do with it, and you don't understand it. So you have reached the first stage of psycho-spiritual pregnancy. And then what happens? You go home, and you do Hisbodedus on it, you talk to Hashem about it, you review it, you look it over, you talk to your friend about it, and you start to get a greater clarity about it. That's now called what? Ibor. Pregnancy. You're pregnant with it now. Right? It's not now just this little tiny nothing and it's just inside of me. It's now developing. But when I really get it, Clara, when I really understand it to the extent that I can actually explain it to you, that's called you had the child. Okay?